of Darpan today. And today we are going to be discussing extremely interesting concept and topic where we are going to be presenting to you the checklist, exact checklist that you will have to follow before and while you're opening your offices and businesses post lockdown, but now with the new variable with coronavirus. COVID-19 has become part of us. It was always part of us. We took time to adjust to it. So this lockdown period was only to make up our mind that we can't fight. We will have to live together. How do we live together? What precautions we follow till the time we develop herd immunity or till the time vaccine gets developed. We will have to get back to our opening of the economy and the world with COVID-19. Now, how do we do that? We spent yesterday's day in understanding what behavioral changes we need to make, and not just theoretically, but exact what changes need to be made in our lifestyle. Yesterday we discussed. Today I'm going to take that topic forward and present to you exact checklist that has to be followed. And this checklist is very detailed for offices, construction sites, and field force. And if you follow this checklist properly, the chances of infected are high. They will never be zero, but the chances are that you will not get infected are high. But as it becomes a part of your lifestyle, probability of staying with it safely will increase. So therefore, it's a matter of changing our lifestyle, changing our habits, changing our ways of living, changing our daily activities. That's exactly it is. So therefore, let's spend some time on that. But before that, we start with the meditation. The rules remain the same. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Loosen your body. Drop everything, every worry, every excitement from your mind. Breathe in. Say, I am that. Breathe out. Say, I am blissful. Breathe in. Say, I am divine. Breathe out. Say, I am all powerful. Breathe in. Say, I am part of Him. Breathe out. I am untouchable. I cannot be diseased. I can heal anything, and I can heal myself. We now get into the topic of discussion today, and the discussion, we will first begin with a little kind of a recap from what we did yesterday, and then we will get into what is today being discussed. We discussed. So, this is the white part is what we will discuss today. What we discussed yesterday was the cultural and behavioral shifts required to open office. Today we will be looking at checklist for office opening and exact measures to be taken to be followed. And when I say office, we'll be including three important things: office, construction site, and field force. Tomorrow, we'll get into exact actionable for business reopening. So office is just an infrastructure, but business reopening will require a different kinds of mindset now. So including how to make use of the recent government announcements for MSME space specifically. I'll focus on that part only. And then day after tomorrow, we'll have a checklist of activities and details for business reopening. So today we'll be focusing on office reopening, and that is the topic of discussion today. Okay, so if you remember yesterday, what we discussed was what was the inherent cultural shifts required urgently. That means it has to happen right from tomorrow. Cultural shift का usual definition होता है it happens over a period of time. वो नहीं चलेगा, कल से करना पड़ेगा. So we spoke about basically 5 cultural shifts. The first cultural shift that we spoke about was peer speak up and feedback tolerance. सबको बोलना पड़ेगा और हमको सुनने की टॉलरेंस होनी पड़ेगी. This was regarding all the safety measures that we have to follow. So we cannot be. We looked at some examples like you're sitting in a client's office and um, you're sitting in client's office. You're wearing mask. He's not wearing mask. You have to not worry. You have to get up on your seat and say that you are not wearing mask. I cannot sit here because it's about not him, not you. It's about us. So peers speak up and feedback tolerance. Second cultural shift, acceptance of awkwardness. We'll be walking with masks on. We'll be walking with awkward dresses on. We'll be walking with continuous sanitizations of hands. So many things that we'll be doing, but we have to accept this awkwardness. Third cultural shift is do a mix of work from home, work from office. That has to become part of your culture now because all of us will not be having large offices. So because we're not having large offices, but still we have to follow social distancing norms. So you can't have all the people there. Otherwise, you can't follow social distancing. So therefore, sorry, I keep on using the word social distancing. It is actually physical distancing. Socially now, I think we are more connected than we were earlier. So there is no social distancing. There is physical distancing. Fourth cultural shift is learn to politely refuse your customers to come to office, vendors to come to office, channel partners to come to office, and shift to e-meetings as much as possible. Fifth and the last cultural shift, leader. When I say leader, that means the promoter and the guided coalition together. Their focus on clinical cleanliness, like that in a clinic or in a hospital, is mandatory in all the places that they physically or non-physically touch. Therefore, it is extremely important for us to understand that if we do not have clinical cleanliness, it will be very difficult to survive in the post-lockdown with coronavirus time. Okay, 5 basic cultural shifts, and we said that this behavioral shifts will happen if we have focus on 6 fundamental aspects to it. What are 6 fundamental aspects? First, compelling moral frame. What is compelling moral frame? Today the compelling moral frame is if you will not do this, we all will die, and that you will have to explain in that many words. Give instances to your people. You will have to start using please and thank you. Please and thank you with assertiveness will ensure great focus on great focus on ensuring peers are speaking up and feedback is being taken first. Second, you need to have a COVID boot camp the first day you enter office. And leaders, that means promoter along with their guided coalition, the core team, will have to ensure that they are present before everybody else enters the office. When they are present before everyone else enters the office, you will be able to ensure that people follow it. Don't ask your peons or office boys to take temperatures. You stand there yourself, check temperatures, ensure people are following cleanliness measures, hygiene. It is about leading from front and then being a coach as well. So there was a time of captains, there was time of coaches. Now has come the time of both. You have to not only be a captain, you also need to be a coach. So you have to have both the qualities of a captain and that of a coach. Only one will not work. So you have to lead from front and from back. You can't be both. You can't be one only. You have to be both. Then comes peer and leadership pressure, social structure, how socially people are accepting these norms. That will come in. Scorekeeping. Have the hygiene scores of your office. Extremely important. This whole thing has to be started like a game, then continue to become a lifestyle, and then completely a part of your rituals. But important is, it will not happen if the scores are not being given. So scorekeeping is what we discussed yesterday. And then finally, ensure the environment of your office is providing the tools, the resources, and the cues to ensure that you continue following these particular norms. Tools are like sanitizers, etc. Resources are like um, all people, tangible, intangible, all those things which will ensure that you continuously follow it. And cues are like posters and all those things kept over there, so that your screensavers, the moment you see it, it happens like that. The phone rings, the phone doesn't ring, it keeps on talking about it. So continuous cues from the environment have to come so that you don't forget what you to do. And we discussed many such tactics yesterday to bring about a behavioral change. All right, so today we will be getting into something which is much more, one more step below it. That is much more tangible, much more, uh, much more physical, everyday activities. So the checklist for opening up the office. So I will first do a kind of a initial explanation of what needs to be done for the office reopening checklist. So office reopening, the first point to be handled is trigger to reopen. When will that trigger come from the environment to reopen? Then you need to understand reopen dates and schedule. First is the, what do I call as triggers? So I'll explain, there are many triggers. I'll come to each one of it in detail. First understand holistically what we're going to discuss. So what we're discussing right now is how to open your office. So first point there is the trigger to reopen. Second is reopen dates and schedule. Employee availability. This also needs to be handled with care and empathy. I'll explain what it means. Then how does the team work? Team bonding, team checklist. Transportation checklist. What is the transportation checklist? What things to be taken care of? What not to be taken care of? Visitors checklist. How to handle visitors. Screening. How the screening needs to be done. What needs to be kept ready? What is not ready? Desks. What needs to be managed at the desk? Meeting rooms. Cleaning methods to be followed. Protective gear. IT assets and furniture. Awareness and communication. What is the checklist for that? How do you handle an unwell employee? He can fall sick. Anybody can fall sick. Reinfection response plan. Suppose a reinfection happens, how do you actually handle it? So we'll be discussing these checklists, which are about 16 in number. And each of this will have a detailed checklist plan, but we'll go step by step. Okay, so let's start with the office reopening checklist right now. Okay, can all of you see it?
Rohit, can you zoom in?
Okay, you need to zoom in.
That's okay.
It's visible, right, properly?
Yes, Rohit.
Okay. All right, so this is the office reopening checklist. We will start from the first page. So if you look at it, you have all the points which I discussed in the presentation right now. These points are properly indexed over here. So triggers to reopen, reopening dates and schedule, employee availability, team, transportation, visitors, screening, desks, meeting room, cleaning method, protective gear, IT assets, awareness and communication, unmanned employee, reinfection response plan. Okay, so this is all there right now. And if you see on the right of that, the next section is based on the checklist being filled up, and you have to continuously keep on seeing whether how ready I am. There will be a score which we have built in logic over there from our experience and research that we did. And what will be the readiness score based on the opening up of the checklist? If there are any, these checklists are valid for 3 to 6 months. We will have to relook at it as the environment starts preparing for the risk, how to tackle with coronavirus or COVID-19. These checklists are valid for next 3 to 6 months. But 3 to 6 months is a long time. यहाँ पर एक एक दिन इस समय is very very precious for us. So we will have to handle it with care, understand how this checklist is to be used. Let's first go to the triggers to you. Now, what is expected out of you is to review each of the areas over here. First important thing that needs to be handled is you have to form a crisis management team. This is a new thing that has actually appeared in today's world. You have to form a crisis management team. Second important thing, this team will have to have eyes open towards what the whole market is about, how the whole market is being handled. This team has to have his eyes open. And when I say market, regulations, government, industry, peer group, competition, etc., etc. So we'll go checklist by checklist, and I'll keep on opening up the forum for questions. So as you keep on, right now, what is the response over here is not important. What I've written there is important. Response will be different for different people. So I would suggest, the suggestion over here from TransGanization is that do not open the office space till the time these all the triggers have yes as an answer over there. It's a suggestion. Of course, you will take your calculated calls, but this checklist will only help you understand the scores, and the readiness will only help you understand what is the degree of risk I'm taking. So let's take an example. First point, have you formed a crisis management team? Minimum 3 members. You can say I have 2 members. So answer that will be no, but you can still put yes because you'll say that 2 members are okay. It's your call. So form a crisis management team. It says yes. As mandated by municipal corporation, state government, central government, has CMT, the crisis management team, decided the restart date based on the mandates given by the central, state, or municipal corporation? Answer can be no or yes. Let us assume it is yes. Do we have necessary approvals to restart the operation from the authorities? Has CMT planned sanitization activity for complete premise before restarting operations? Now, what am I doing here? I'm actually walking the thoughts with you, how you have to think before restarting. So you can say CMT is basically promoter himself. That is a decision that's up to you. But ultimately, you will have to go through these steps in your mind as a logical process before you even think of starting the offers. So have you planned the sanitization of the premise before starting the operation? Answer may be yes. Identification and verification by CMT. Identification and verification by CMT, that is in conjunction with insurance people, that organization is able to comply with the requirements if there are underwriters over there. You can approach your corporate insurance company. They are underwriting some of the work that the staff will be doing. If this kind of a policy is not being built by your insurance company, you can approach others. That is right now there. So maybe you have done yes. CMT will have to make a process on how they will monitor COVID cases when operations restart. Use a reputable source for this. Gather trend, data, deaths, hospitalizations, maybe government resource or sources there, or our Arogya Setu app is there. So all that app has to be installed it's part of the starting process. App has to be installed by all the employees so that we are able to get whatever information best we can. CMT to make process on how they will communicate COVID-related information with employees. CMT gathers information relating to fever clinics, hospitals, ambulance services, other medical institutes close to the workplace for emergency purposes. Put a yes to it. Now, when all of them are yes, then only if you go back to this section, you will see here the result is ready. When all of them are yes. Even if one of them is not yes, it will say not fully compliant. So this checklist is actually a tool which will help you. See, the idea is to have these particular pointers over there before you actually can utilize this checklist. But these pointers, even if you don't have this checklist and you don't want to use this checklist, you will have to look at these pointers in any case before you even think of starting the office. I want to take some questions here if there are any doubts on this part. Kindly raise your hands if you have any questions. No questions? I can move forward. No agreements, disagreements, nothing. Very good. How can okay.
We will let you know later. Rohit.
Hello, Dhananjay ji.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Really, it is eye-opener, and we have not thought in such a detail. So, thankful to you. Still more things we will come to understand. Thank you. Just this is appreciation. This much deep, really not thought of. It is
Thank you.
really practical. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hitesh here.
Hi, Hitesh. Boli.
You're really thought of everything. That's very good. Can we get this list again if on our email or something like that?
Yeah, this will be. We'll tell you later. By the time we finish this session, I will tell you how you can access this particular checklist.
That's thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
जी sir, बोलिए.
Yeah, sir. Mostly what we are talking now is about the red zone area. Okay. There is a non-red zone, non-red zone area where already operation are started.
Okay, so I will explain it to you. Today's yellow zone or green zone will become red zone very fast.
Yes, sir.
We
But
all are
already
aware
operation
whether
are
we accept
started.
or not. We all are aware about it. So therefore, this checklist is valid even for a yellow zone. Wherever operations have started, still you have to start thinking like this only. Because anytime you will have to have a crisis management team. Because
Yes,
crisis can occur any day. Again.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, thinking process तो यही रखना पड़ेगा. See, when you are in a green zone, you have to think like a red zone. When you are in red zone, at that time you don't have mind to think also because you're in too much pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's the concept of urgency, no?
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Yes, sir. But in red zone, we don't know when the operation will start. That is also the
So
big
at
question.
least get ready.
Yeah.
So this checklist is not getting you how to start only. It is telling you get ready to start.
Yes, sir.
Because soon they will open all the zones. And even if they don't open, people will open themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So कहीं ना कहीं तो livelihood will take priority over lives.
Yes, yes, that is the plan. They are now opening it. Only thing is that if we open at a time everything, that chaos will happen. So they are taking some little steps to reopen things.
Yes, yes.
Very good. That is a very good strategy.
Yes, yes, that's right. Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. If one more question I can take maximum because I have to cover a lot of things here. Ji Manu ji. Manu ji, please unmute yourself. Okay, let me restart. Then I'll take up questions again in between. Okay, so now this is the trigger points. After triggering points are there, and we are not, it's not a sequential thing कि आप ये करोगे फिर वो होगा फिर वो होगा फिर वो होगा. It's not like that. You have to keep filling these checklists as and when you have time and whatever activities you're doing, because trigger can be zero but still others can be done. So all the things have to be done parallelly, sequentially, whenever, whatever way you want to do. There is no, it can be done randomly also. There is no specific sequence to be followed over here. Let's go to dates and availability schedule. Okay. Develop a return to work strategy. Important. It needs to include a phased wise approach. कैसे करूँगा phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. If you have developed the strategy, say yes to it. Identify what work needs to be resumed first. Identify priorities for returning to work. Experience during the work from home can be used to revise the volume of work or the kind of work to be done at office. You can say phase wise में पहले कौन बाद में कौन और कौन सा वर्क ऑफिस से होगा कौन सा वर्क बाहर से होगा. I had explained that. Create a whole list of checklist of tasks that you do and mark which can be done from home, which cannot be done from home. Prepare a whole thing, and that will help you minimize the risk. Identify human and other resources together that are required to perform the work that needs to be resumed very clearly. Suppose I have to resume site work. For example, I have to resume site work. What is the kind of resources required in office for that site work? Who have to come to office? If it is zero, very good. If it is something, then you should have that identification. Evaluate options for performing work at other locations. Identify when work can be performed, staggered shifts, alternate weeks, alternate days, revised hours. These all things need to be thought. Identify what facilities and IT on-site services are needed to return to the workplaces to ready status. So बहुत clearly identify कर लो कि कौन सी चीजें हमको चाहिए to start the work. For example, one of the biggest thing that you have to do is maybe you will have to reorganize the workspaces. So call 3 or 4 workers along with you going to office. Don't call the team over there, and monitor whether, suppose there were workstations one after the other. Remove a workstation from between and create a distance between the 2 workstations. Or if you need to put a partition, you might have to reorganize your workstations and workplaces for this to happen. Right now, don't start thinking कि वैसे ही revenue नहीं है, वैसे ही sales नहीं है, यहाँ पे खर्चा कहाँ से करने बैठो. वो सब चीजें बाद में. पहले सोचो करना क्या है, फिर देखेंगे कि मेरे resources क्या allow करते हैं करने के लिए. So chalk out your own return plan. It can be, for example, facilities IT staff to ready the workplace for re-entry initially. Then phase 1, get 10% of the people who are required to come there. Phase 2, 25%, 30 days. After 30 days, phase 3, 50% after 60 days, phase 4, 75% after 90 days, and so on and so forth. So prepare a proper detailed plan. Identify issues that might delay the timeline for re-entry. Be clearly कि मैं अभी 30 days में सोच रहा हूँ ये, लेकिन हो सकता है कि ये चीजें हो जाए, मैं अलाउ नहीं कर पाऊँ. Identify those issues clearly. So identify करने से क्या advantage होता है कि when you identify those issues, suppose इसी में आपने identify किया, यहाँ पर list लिख दिया और यहाँ पर issues लिख दिया. Now, as a leader of the office and not the HR head only, he also have to do, you also have to do. So all the people of the guided coalition, each one of them should have this checklist, and they should know They should know exactly what to do when these assumptions are triggered. Immediately come on a call and take a new decision. Establish phased return to work by location. You might have multiple locations, so you might want to have a phased return to work and define and adjust work timings and work days. बहुत clear. Okay, so this is how you prepare yourself for reopening. First is trigger to open. What do I say कि ये तो मेरा होगा तभी मैं सोचूंगा इसके बारे में. So first is trigger to reopen means if that will happen, then I will think of this to happen. So this is the plan for opening. That was the trigger to open. Okay. So we have covered, see right now because I didn't mark, it's showing the score of 30% and I'm not ready as per this algorithm. Now comes employee availability. Very important section. Very important section. Please do not open without following this particular thing. See carefully. First, conduct a staff survey. Survey में क्या क्या होगा? Who has children or child? Who has family member or partner that requires ongoing care? आपके empathy के questions वहाँ होने चाहिए. सिर्फ examples है खाली. There can be an elderly member at home who needs continuous care. Please gather information. Then we'll take a call. What needs to be done? First, gather information so that the COVID has only taught us one thing: how to become a complete human. COVID has taught us only one thing: how to become a complete human. If we are not complete human from inside, we will not be able to handle post-lockdown with COVID-19 timing. Not possible. Second, in the staff survey, post-staff survey is being done, write down who is classified as high risk. Be clear, classified as high risk. So there's an important note here. Recommended defining high risk as per the WHO or municipality guidelines. You can also define yours. You can be more stricter because chances of you getting impacted are higher. So become stricter than WHO, but minimum follow the local authority guidelines. Additionally, ask staff to self-identify if they live with someone who is high risk. So एक high risk है staff खुद, एक high risk है person who is sitting with whom he is staying. Who relies on public transportation during an early phase transition back to the workplace? Some staff may be at higher risk, for example, from long commutes on public transport. Remember that. Another staff survey that needs to be done is who will volunteer to return when management resumes workplaces. So to minimize the risk, the number of staff returning to back to workplace, only ask this question of those with a business that need to be on site primarily. But abhi on site ka we'll see how to handle it. But this is an important question that you should have to handle from the central team. Central team has to answer कि site पे कौन आना चाहता है. What our staff are comfortable to work both at home and workplace. Some people will say that I will continue to work from home, but I will work from these many hours to this many hours. Timing. I will come to office, but I will have to return back home by this time. You'll have to put now that old pre-COVID time का जो timing and all that stuff, biometric वो सब waste हो गया, अभी उसका कोई फायदा नहीं है. This is the period with the currency of trust, currency of love, currency of empathy. These three things are very important. Love, serve, and give has to drive this phase. Determine if staff are allowed to choose the hours they may work. For example, there can be a red zone staff staying in red zone, where the local authority has told that you cannot you can go out of home only from this time to this time. Determine that also. Determine staff's future preferred mode of travel for next few months, because he might be traveling by public transport. What is his new travel mode preferred? That might need to recall your reimbursement policy. So employee, हमने तो खोल दिया, लेकिन employee also needs to be available ना. You have to handle their fear, you have to handle their requirements, you have to handle their care at home and for them. If this can't be done, if this is not done, very difficult to return back, because you will be handling only chaos then and distress then and very difficult situations in office then. So prepare yourself from this perspective also. Okay, so now triggers to reopen means when do I reopen? Reopen dates, plan for reopening, employees availability is handled. Let's see now how the team thing is handled. You might have to reorganize your org structure. We will discuss this in detail tomorrow, day after, how the business opens. This is only office opening abhi. Business थोड़ी open हुआ. Business open के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? But handle, how do I bifurcate, how do I reorganize my org structure, organogram, is to some extent you'll get some answers over here. So bifurcate your teams: home team, office team. Identify minimum resources required for team to function. Although most of us are already in a situation where we have less resources, but in some of the organizations, there can be some places where you are working with extra resources and some places where you're working with less resources. There can also be situations where some of the team members just cannot come and they are very important members. You say, I'm opening office, they will say, I cannot come. How do we handle that situation also needs to be taken care of in your plan. Split small departments with few staff to avoid being workplace at same time. छोटा डिपार्टमेंट है, कम स्टाफ है, सबके सब आ गए, सबको कुछ हो गया, फिर क्या होगा? Suddenly an issue. So therefore, not all people, there have to be rotation methodology. How the teams will have to be handled is a very, it's a topic to be discussed in detail with your guided coalition internally. That how do I now handle this team? It's not that tomorrow office is opening and everybody rush back to office. And then there's a line and a queue on the biometric place and everybody's giving their face IDs and they're entering. You are just opening to shut. Remember that. It's better to open late than to rush into opening and shut it fast. Okay. A call center had opened in Delhi. One of my friends works there. First day, they opened and everybody rushed. Second day, there were 15 COVID cases there. They had to shut it back. All the staff are quarantined by the authorities now. Don't be in a hurry. to open. Be very, very careful. Okay, implement and communicate shift work. So very clearly now you have to do batch processing. Location wise, department wise, complete batching needs to be done now. So manufacturing guy has to now become an HR guy. Because manufacturing में जो production planning करते हैं ना, उनको समझ में आएगा batch processing कैसे करनी है यहाँ पे. So till the time you don't have a complete neural network built for your organization, the organization structure which defines that how my neurons interact with each other, you will not be able to create an optimum plan of opening the office when it comes to teams and departments. So we need to have an optimum plan for this, absolutely clear optimum plan for this. Okay, so we handled team part also. Now comes the transportation. Very quickly, I'll run through this, not very complicated. So you need to arrange for maybe pickup. You have to define the compensation and reimbursement policies. You have to look at the package for the support staff whom are not maybe full-time but are required to work with you. You might have to reimburse personal protective equipments. I would say might reimburse. It is not a big deal. There might come very soon a COVID-19 diagnostic kits. They will come. There's a startup in Bangalore is working on it. It's in the trial stage. It will come soon in the market. At that time, you might have to reimburse personal COVID-19 diagnostic kits. Ki chances hai ki nahi hai. Develop staff safe commuting guidelines. Very clearly develop karo and very, very clearly give it to on their PCs, on their phones, on everything. Okay. So important part on transportation also needs to be handled. इसमें सबसे important है आपका policy framework. It's important to understand how the whole thing is done. How do I handle visitors? Establish visitor policy. Will they be allowed or maybe not allowed? Visitor access. Like you have lockdown access by passes, visitor access has to be by passes. Suppose some visitor has to come, maybe you have a process that your internal department will communicate to the HR that I have to call this visitor for following reason. HR will issue visitor pass based on the number of visitors limit of a day. Suppose you say a request for visitor is coming at this time, you will say at that time already 3 visitors are coming, we have 3 meeting rooms, I cannot accept any more visitor anymore. Because you can't have people sitting at the reception and waiting. You should go to the office and see outside. People are just waiting for what? I don't know. No matter what process you finalize to clear it up, it doesn't work. Therefore, we don't have to let people in. So uncalled off walk-ins are not allowed. Put a gate के ऊपर वो चीज. अगर आना है तो with appointment. Responsibility of a visitor will be of the department whose visitor is coming. So if visitor just bumps into office, so suppose sales, the customer is bumping into office. He's also a visitor. How will you say no to him? Find a way. Because sale of a unit, a property or a plot or a franchisee or whatever is not that valuable as the life of a person. So be clear on that part, that visitors are allowed to come in only with passes, and pass count has to be managed by the HR department. So log in all visitor information database together, where they came from, whom they visited, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है. पॉइंट नंबर 6, log all visitor information into database together with where they went and who they visited in that day. Phone number, because suppose that person tests positive and if you come to know, you will have to immediately, all that connection has to be established within the organization. It is not going to be a very easy way of visitor handling like it was earlier. देखो अब इसमें 2 पॉइंट है. पहला पॉइंट है इतना कौन करेगा, छोड़ो, जो होगा देखा जाएगा. Good point of view, this checklist is not useful for you. This mindset I think is also not useful for you. But prevention is always better than cure. इसको फॉलो करने के बाद भी मैं गारंटी थोड़ी करता हूँ कि होने नहीं वाला है. होने वाला है, शायद हो भी जाएगा, लेकिन let's do our karma and result will be whatever, we'll see. But we should plan as much as we can. So my karma was to prepare this and give it to you and hand it over to you. Now your karma is to follow this. I can only take the horse to the water, I can't make you drink. So you have to ensure that you follow this, and this is for our safety collectively as human race, that you have to do this. This is my ahuti in the yagna, you have to put your ahuti in the yagna. Preferably utilize mobile applications for visitor check-in process. Preferably. If you can't, prepare now. Okay, very important. This is something which there are free applications available. आपको कोई ERP से इंटीग्रेशन की जरूरत नहीं है. ये तो सिंपली एप्लीकेशन डालो, उसको सेपरेट रहने दो जब तक आप इंटीग्रेट नहीं करते हो, चलेगा. Develop visitor communication. Send copy of communication to visitors prior to their arrival on site. So they should get an e-copy which they will show and enter. No matter how small your office is, no matter your 5-member team, 4-member team, ये तो करना easy है, ये कर लेना. If you have to go to somebody's office, my suggestion, don't go. Even if they say we prefer you come, you say I prefer we do e-meeting or Zoom meeting. Okay. Screening. Encourage staff to take their own temperature, adjust company HR requirements to work from home when sick, or get doctor's clearance to be at work. All those things. So the screening needs to be handled well. This is not very complicated. If you take this checklist, you'll be able to see this very well. In screening, 3 important parameters to be taken into account. First, encourage everyone to have self-regulation. First point. खुद रेगुलेट रहोगे तो आप सबको सेफ रखोगे. Second important point, you will have to ensure that on the counter when people enter the office, you are available as a leadership team to ensure people enter the office with safety as a primary parameter in mind. Third, if you find somebody not well at the gate only, immediately have a process of handling that person there itself. Handling that person there itself. Okay. you should also coordinate with building management to evaluate the baseline workplace screening capabilities, जो कि already building देती है हमें. अगर आपके entry पे ही वो सब कुछ हो रहा है, that data can be taken up. So you can coordinate with the building management to see what you will need to screen and what they will need to screen. IT assets, clean up and wrap all laptops, headsets, keyboards, other peripherals, warehouse to coordinate pickup and delivery to staff working from home. एक तो घर पे पहुंचाने. दूसरा, ask staff to only bring in company provided laptop, headsets, etc. to work and take them home daily post sanitization, which has to be a process done over there in office. Provide alcohol based towelettes, wipes for staff to wipe down laptops and keyboards continuously during the day, not just at the end of the day, beginning of the day. There has to be a resource and tool provided to him or her at the during the day process. Awareness and communication, very important point. How do I communicate and make people aware? Develop soft opening guidelines like food delivery procedures, develop soft opening guidelines of cleaning the desk, develop soft opening guidelines of personal health, temperature and other screening. You can create like a screensaver for this, but these needs to be developed while you are asking staff to come back to office. So all the possible detailed awareness and communication collaterals need to be built when it comes to personal hygiene, equipment hygiene, um, desk hygiene, washroom hygiene, canteen hygiene. All this needs to be taken care of. If there is somebody unwell, what do I do? So, somebody is unwell, he comes to office, of course he can't enter office. So you have to ensure that he is dropped back. Second, if he is unwell, he has to bring in doctor's clearance to come back to work. Establish cleaning protocols based on the type of illness very clearly. So suppose he is having a back pain, that's also unwell, but he can come to office. But what needs to be taken care of, you have to define. Somebody is having a fever and doctor says it's just a regular tiredness fever. The doctor's thing is there, so you can handle it. But try to be very careful initially not to get in people who are unwell into office. But most important thing, if you find a sick employee at office, immediately have a methodology and a protocol defined how to take the person for a checkup and then back to her. Establish the complete mechanism for contact tracing. किस किस को trace contact किया था उसने. So that also needs to be developed when you find an unwell employee in office. And last but not the least, reinfection response plan. So you need to be clear, when do I activate my crisis management team to activate my crisis management team to ensure that how does this reinfection, if it occurs, how do I respond to it? How do I do the contact tracing within the office? How do I use my registers and information and give it to authorities if required? Monitor situation, identify concerns. communicate with the travelers where all they have gone, which taxi that they use. So all that information has to be very well clear and notified so that we can trace from where it has come and where it would have gone. Important point is that when the customer, when the employee is found with COVID-19 in office, from where he has picked up and to where he is going to is an important thing that needs to be handled in the reinfection response plan. Okay, so this is a nutshell, the complete checklist. This checklist will be available to you. One second. Mangesh is saying it's better to work from home. So there's some questions here. Let me take up some questions first before I get into the availability of checklist. Kavita ji, you have to unmute yourself. Mr. Krishnan.
Good morning, Rahulji.
Good
Rohitji.
Good morning.
I believe the high risk category are also the employee's spouse or immediate relatives staying with them, working in either in medical facility or in a hospital or in police force, because they are always more susceptible, are more likely to be infected during their workplace.
Yes, I know that.
So I think that also need to.
No, that is what was then the first trigger point where I said high risk. You did do the staff survey.
Okay.
You remember that point?
Yes.
I had put it down in the beginning of this thing only, where I said, do the staff survey, that is the reopen employee availability. This point.
Yeah, I agree.
So that is as per the WHO or the municipality guidelines.
Okay, very well. Thank you, sir.
Most welcome. Okay, Rohini.
Good morning, Rohitji.
Good morning.
My question is that since I am into a dental profession, like is it is it my responsibility to ensure the staff, because COVID cover is not being given for high risk professionals like doctors, their assistants.
You have to, that's what I said, talk to your respective insurance agency and get the insurance of your staff done. I had put that point over there.
Okay.
Get it done. It's important. So you'll have to call those people to meet you over a Zoom call, understand from them what the whole thing is, and get it done.
Okay. So like even if the whole calculation is not the idea is only to start the clinic now. We are not supposed to calculate how much we are putting in and what we are going to get out of it, because we can't do a lot of
The
procedures
whole
now.
business plan has to not change. Tomorrow I'll be explaining that very clearly.
Okay.
That the business plan itself is changing now, because in your business plan, hygiene and health was never a cost. इस बिजनेस प्लान में हाइजीन और हेल्थ का कॉस्ट था ही नहीं ना. अब एक नया डिफरेंस पैरामीटर है, उसको रीहैंडल करना पड़ेगा. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Ashwin. Let me get Ashwin.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Your questions are very interesting. Let me take one by one.
Oh,
You're into
okay.
retail business, right?
Right, right.
Of course, you have to handle visitors. Visitor to आपका main customer है. You have to get it done. But you will have to ensure a policy that number of visitors inside the showroom has to be limited.
Okay.
You will have to create infrastructural changes now. That means, suppose it is a shop where the interaction with the salesman is required.
Yes, that is mandatory in my business. Correct.
And the distance cannot be maintained because
To
talking
a
has
great.
to happen.
Okay.
So you have to wear gears. अभी recently Indigo airline का आपको एक मैं photograph भेजता हूँ, if I can right now show it to you. That clearly showed how, because people cannot be social distance तो नहीं हो सकता ना airline के अंदर. Indigo
Impossible. Right.
provided head gears to everybody, which were like not just a mask, head gear, class gear.
Yes, yes. I understand. I have taken care. There is a company called, I will just interrupt you, called Saint Gobain's.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, and they are already manufacturing this. And last 2.5 week, I have been pursuing them. Please give me 100 pieces at least. Give me 100 pieces at least. But they are saying that we are like overstressed
Yeah.
to a level of 70 times. Means they, if they are very, I mean, infrastructure is allowing them to manufacture one piece per day. They already have 70 orders in their hands.
Yeah, I understand. So those challenges we'll have to live with, but challenges को जरा side पे रखते हैं, लेकिन ये करना पड़ेगा. So the
Yes, I
way retail store needs to be handled is totally different now. You will have to have very clear infrastructural changes being made. You maybe, if you don't have that gears available, you create those cubicles inside the आपको शायद infrastructure में change करना पड़ जाए for it to be
Okay.
sustainable for long. Think over it. The whole retail space needs to be redesigned to make this happen.
And the when last sentence I would like to say, see, generally management or owner, they tend to maximize profit. So that is absolutely useless scenario. This is what what I have understood. Forget about profit, forget about turnover, forget whatever. If you can afford, invest maximum efforts and money into this. It is like earning 1% of profit, which normally you would have earned, and spend 80% or 85% on all these measures, equipments, getting culture, whatever. Forget about profit. It is just time to survive. Obviously, I am assuming one can afford all these expenditures. If he is not able to afford, then better keep office shut.
That is true. See, important point. Profit equation is changing now. Earlier it was revenue minus expense, और expense के अंदर, as I was answering Rohini's question, expense के अंदर हमारे पास कभी भी healthcare cost का नाम कोई expense था ही नहीं.
You are right.
उस expense को हमको add करना पड़ेगा. तो equation बदल गया है, बस अब कुछ नहीं हुआ है. वो equation वही है, उसमें एक extra variable add हो गया है. अभी आप break even calculate करने के लिए आपको इस cost को consider करना ही पड़ेगा.
See, genuinely speaking, I already have prepared myself. This year we are going to make XYZ losses. Forget profit, XYZ losses. Probably 50% of that we will make loss next year also. And our third year onwards, we might make profit. I already have made myself very clear in my mind.
Very good. You'll be happier.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Hemant ji, very interesting question he has.
Hello. Good morning, Raji.
Good morning.
So, we have in EPC business various sites and each of these sites will have their own rules to be followed up at the various sites. So we need to incorporate all those points as well into our SOPs.
Yes, you will have to. The process needs to be changed. Tomorrow I'm going to discuss all these things. अभी process modifications करने पड़ेंगे. Because otherwise, so you will not be able to handle it now. You are going by previous rules, will not work. Those rules have to be incorporated in your own SOPs. Yes, that's true.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost the internet connection was bad in between.
I'm saying that you will have to actually make modifications in your SOPs. You're right.
Yes, yes. Even our ISO documents will have to change.
Yes, ISO documents are not relevant anymore. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now I will show you one more. Actually, there are two more to be shown, but it's taking time, and I don't want to hurry it up. So the two remaining are field force. So let me first show field force. And then the last one is construction site. So field force is very small. Let me share it. We have to take care of three important things here: fit for duty, personal hygiene agreement, and activity planning. Actually, this can be seen, right? Okay. So fit for duty, personal hygiene, activity planning. Actually, if you look at it, first two can be done by every employee. Need not be a field force. But activity planning is specifically for field force. Let me quickly show. So the fit for duty form, you have to answer some basic personal questions for yourself. This self-check. Do you have fever? Loss of smell, taste, muscle aches, sore throat, cough, short of breath, chills, headache? ये आरोग्य सेतु टाइप की questions है इसके अंदर. Have you experienced any gastro symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, loss of appetite, etc.? Have you or anyone you have been in close contact been diagnosed with COVID-19 or has been placed in quarantine? Have you been asked to self-isolate or quarantine by medical professional? Do you believe that any other risk factor not identified above should be made aware to ensure your safety and the safety of others? You will have to answer this question for yourself and for others. And based on this, the section will give you whether you are fit or not fit. Personal hygiene agreement. What is personal hygiene agreement? It's basically every employee has to make a pledge and agreement that I will frequently wash my hands, I will maintain social distancing, I will do personal protection. I agree, agree, agree. If you do not agree, then you don't come to office or don't go to work. Last important, activity planning. Sorry. Create the activity plan for the day. This is to be done self, okay, and monitored by the immediate line manager. Create the activity plan for the day. Click yes if the plan is created, no, the plan is not created. Based on the activity plan, identify if there is a requirement of any visits to be done. So you identified, yes, there are visits to be done. Revalidate if the visit is mandatory or visit is highly required, or it can be done by any of the video conferencing methods. Type yes if it is mandatory. Check if the location where you have to go is high risk, low risk, or no risk. If it is high risk or no risk, low risk, not no risk, low risk, type yes. If it is no risk, type no. If it is no, then you need not fill these three questions. If it is yes, then you fill. Communicate with the customer if they have a mitigation plan, process of address exposure in the place or not. उनसे पूछ लो. हाँ पूछ लिया, yes है उनके पास. Check if the vehicle is sanitized according to the protocol or not. Yes. If the equipment, machinery are sanitized according to the protocol or not. Yes. If all these are yes, then you are ready to visit. If any one of them is no, then you are not ready for the visit. This is an important field force thing, which is very, very important to be handled. Otherwise, field force is most susceptible to catch infection. And let me very quickly run past the. Uh, right now, I want to make an announcement. These all checklists are available to you. You will have, there are two versions. You have to buy it either as a combo of office plus the office plus the field, or office field along with the construction side. So there are two options. On the chat box there will be a link where you will have to go make the payment, and then this checklist will be mailed to you along with the passwords, etc., on your email ID. So that is the link for the business reopening checklist. You can just click on that link, go there, and get these checklists. Let me now share the real estate site. Now, construction site opening is also a little detailed like the office opening. You have following things to be handled here: transportation to and from the site access, site office, common area, site sanitization, construction area, on-site medical infrastructure, customer visits, and material management. All these things need to be in detail handled. Uh, I will not have time to run through past this today. If you want to really get this checklist, you can buy it from the downscript link which we have shared with you right now. However, if you're not wanting to buy it, that's okay. Tomorrow maybe I will spend some time before I get into the other discussion to understand how this particular thing needs to be handled. For whatever little time is available right now, I will look at two of the points over here. So one of the point can be like material management. In material management, it's an important part in any construction site. You have to have following 6 things done very clearly. One, you have to define loading and unloading zones on the site which need to be separate very clearly. Second, all the separate from or away from your usual site, where because वहीं पर maximum rush आने वाला है. Either outside people will come there a lot. All the vehicle entering and exiting the site needs to be disinfected. Delivery staff to follow and go through complete entering and exiting procedure as decided. Shipment documents to be reviewed and validated only in the digital format. If your vendor doesn't have it, explain him and make sure that he does it. Avoid exchanging hard copy of delivery challans, etc. Unloaded delivery goods to be disinfected prior to keeping in the warehouse. Very important. Like in home, if you get stuff from outside, you disinfect and put them outside for some time before you can put it back in your kitchen or in your storeroom. Similar thing has to happen at the site. In case delivery item cannot be disinfected, then it should be stored separately at least 72 hours prior to use. Virus can stay for up to 72 hours, sometimes even more, but maybe we can handle more, but 72 rakhna hi padega. Construction waste to be removed from the site in covered containers and vehicles. Very important. These 6 points are extremely important because material, man, and the site, these three things are the main things over there. So material needs to be handled in this way. I will also take up customer visit points. because customers might visit you for any kind of site visits. If you will actually proactively communicate, customers will visit you also. Have you made an arrangement for a person escorting the customer with suitable masks and personal protective equipments? Have you made provision for offering sanitizers, masks, PPEs to visiting customers? Have you made provision for sanitizing the common waiting area periodically? Have you made provision for sanitizing the lift, doorknobs, staircase rail periodically? Have you made provision for handling out sanitized brochure and other documents? Ideally, they should be done in the digital format, but if customer really insists for it, it should be in a very sanitized way. Site must be sanitized before the customer visit. Have you offered customers to show the site through the video conferencing? Screening of the customer has to be part of the protocol. Screen the customer fully, allow him to even meet your sales executive on the site. And similarly, there are other things which are similar to office but not that similar. You have to this for the site. There are large number of things to be done. So please kindly follow it. The most important thing that is that's important over here is the transportation. Apart from these two things I showed you, is ensuring that you will ensure pickup and drop facility of various people over there. Ensure the travel plans for the traveler, route time, noted temperature, etc. is presented. It is an extremely important part in the whole process because infections come from outside. So उनके घर से यहाँ तक हमको उसको पूरा का पूरा escort करना है ताकि रास्ते में infection नहीं पकड़ ले, because it is not about just you, it is also about going back to home. Okay, now some questions over here, and then I will.
Rohit, Kundan,
yes,
Santosh
tell me.
has something to say. Can we unmute him?
Yes, please. Santosh, what is, I spoke to him, no?
No, he has something else.
Okay. जी संतोष
सर बहुत ही अच्छा चल रहा है, बहुत ही अच्छी चेकलिस्ट है. No doubt, everyone should follow this. That is the way ahead. No doubt about it. I don't know next 2 days what you are doing tomorrow, but I would to make a very important point here, which is not yet covered, and which is very, very important. What I feel, that is, whatever we are, not only you as a society and government and everybody is what they are talking about. Corona से क्या होगा, क्या करना है, all these things we are highly we are talking about this. First thing is very important. We should this is not a fatal at all. कोरोना से बिल्कुल घबराने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Not fatal at all. First, that is very important. और सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट अपने एम्प्लॉइज के बारे में, अपने खुद के बारे में और अपने फैमिली के बारे में ये इम्पोर्टेंट है. थ्री पिरामिड्स, 3 इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट्स, व्हिच इज रेस्ट, फूड इनटेक और एक्सरसाइज. ये अगर इसके ऊपर आपको एम्प्लॉइज को 8 घंटे की या 10 घंटे की जो भी आप ड्यूटी दे रहे हैं, उसके बाद उसको कंपलसरी रेस्ट, अच्छी रेस्ट मिलना बहुत बहुत जरूरी है. उसका आहार है, उसमें सी विटामिन्स है क्या नहीं है, वो जो आयुष मंत्रालय ने आर्सेनिक होम्योपैथिक का गोली सजेस्ट किया है, वेदर दे आर टेकिंग इट. और जो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है कि ये आपका जो फीवर और जो घसा, जो हम गला बोलते हैं, उसके लिए हॉट वाटर पीना और ठंडा कुछ नहीं लेना. और अपना जो टेम्परेचर है, अगर कुछ वो एक रिस्ट वॉच मिलता है, इफ यू गिव देम और इफ दे बाय, कि जिससे आपका टेम्परेचर और ये जो मेंटेन होता है, ये चीजें अगर ये हो ही नहीं, एक तो फेटल है ही नहीं है, वो खाली सर्दी अपना जो ये चीज है, खाली कुछ है ही नहीं है, लेकिन ये हो ही नहीं. इसके लिए अगर हम प्रिकॉशन करेंगे तो कुछ होगा ही नहीं, किसी को कुछ नहीं होगा. ये इसको इंश्योर करना बहुत बहुत जरूरी है. इससे उनका कॉन्फिडेंस, स्टाफ का, अपना खुद का बहुत कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ेगा. तो बाकी की चीजें तो इंपॉर्टेंट है ही, बट बिफोर दैट दिस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट व्हाट आई फील. थैंक यू सर.
Thank you. So take care of your health, take care of your diet, take care of your exercise, take care of your emotional health also. All these things are very important for, as Mr. Patil is saying. But of course, beyond that, you must have all the protective and precautionary measures taken as explained over here in all the three checklists. Yes, Ankit.
Hello,
Ji sir.
sir. Very good morning.
Very good morning.
Yes, sir. आपने mention किया just before some time that no documents to be means touched by transporter and or anything. So how to handle that documentation part? Like जो भी material आता है वो purchase हो या कुछ भी हो तो there will be having some papers. So
उसको डिजिटली हैंडल करना पड़ेगा ना अभी वो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग हो सकता है आपके ट्रांसपोर्टर के पास वो फैसिलिटी नहीं हो लेकिन आज ये समय है जहां पर हम नॉर्म्स को चेंज कर सकते हैं जब किसी को पता नहीं है क्या नॉर्मल है
करेक्ट
सो इफ यू टॉक टू योर ट्रांसपोर्टर एंड इक्विप हिम कि तुम ऐसे करके भेज दो मुझे मैं चेक कर लूंगा सो व्हाट आर यू ट्राइंग टू डू यू आर ओनली ट्राइंग टू रिड्यूस द चांसेस ऑफ इट हैपनिंग दैट्स ऑल
करेक्ट
and this is also another very important time and I consider it a very positive way to make changes in the way we do business
correct
so इसको डिजिटल कर दो जितना कर सकते हो
right
and if your transporter does not have the facilities your responsibility to make it happen
right sir but jo during transport they need a hard copy also right so that's why they keep that papers drivers
पर मैंडेटरी है गवर्नमेंट से
yeah
वो करेंगे
okay
जहाँ गवर्नमेंट का मैंडेटरी नहीं है वहां मैं डिजिटल हैंड करूंगा अभी गवर्नमेंट शिफ्ट हो जाएगी डिजिटल में उनको भी नहीं चाहिए
correct
have any option they will also shift now
right
I don't know if you were there in the Shailesh Bhakti's session or not. He very clearly said that the government has made a mandate to do everything now digital.
Correct.
Not just this much. Everything digital.
Correct. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Thank you. आपको अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा मिस्टर खान I can't hear you from here. Okay. मिस्टर राम्स आपको भी अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा मिस्टर प्रकाश सिंह कोई अनम्यूट नहीं कर रहा क्या हो नहीं रहा
Hello.
Hello.
Happy morning.
Good morning. How are
is
you?
it audible?
Yes, it is audible.
Sir, as we are into supply of PPE kit and various things in the hospital and various institutions, कुछ लोग जैसे अभी 5 दिन पहले मुझे एक कॉल आया था कि बोले हमें PPE सूट घर पे दीजिए और 5 PPE सूट they wanted and other things they wanted. हमने बोला कि आप पैसा ट्रांसफर कर दीजिए तो डिजिटल तो एक्चुअली वो वहाँ उनके वहाँ जो थे वो दे आर एजेड पीपल वो बोले हम ट्रांसफर करना मुझे नहीं आता है जैसे ही आपका माल आएगा हम उनको कैश दे देंगे इन दैट केस मैंने उनको कहा कि आप किसी बाजू वालों को नहीं मैं नहीं कर सकता इसलिए हमको तो मजबूरी से विद ऑल द सेफ्टी गेयर्स एंड एवरीथिंग माय टीम हैज डिलीवर्ड दैट अब ऐसा हो रहा है कि ये सब देने के बाद उन्होंने जो कैश दिया उसको हमने 3 दिन तक एक ही थैली में डाल के हमने उसको रख दिया. इज इट सेफ कि 3 दिन तक या उसको जैसे 3 दिन तक उसको पैसे को लेने को?
As per doctor, na,
Okay.
3 days, actually 3 to 5 days, they will say that virus can be alive. But if you have kept in the sealed,
Yeah, plastic bag.
Sealed plastic bag,
Okay.
without an air entering into it, then within 2 days it can be fine.
Okay.
For 2 days इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ because safe side. Otherwise within a day it's okay.
और उसको हमने वापस उसको ये सनलाइट में भी रखा पूरा 6 घंटा पूरा sunlight.
This I discussed with doctor, so he suggested this thing. This is not.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, can you? Hello. Can't hear you. Okay. I think unable to unmute here. Kapil.
Yes, please. So, I still feel that, administrative offices are, I mean, the list is comprehensive, but still you can manage it. But an environment like salon is a lot of proximity to guests, timing, is there longer, and everything is close contact. We have created our guidelines, but I want you to still put some light on that, which can be, helpful to us.
The guidelines for salon are similar to what I told about retail. See, you will have to now buy gears. You might have to change environmental structure within the salon to make it happen. So whatever I was having a discussion with Ashwin on the retail, that's exactly what needs to be done in the salon.
We have tried the gears. We are following the physical distancing in terms of working stations, by appointment, digital payment. All those things are there, but still, I mean, I wanted to know. I got it.
Whatever I told about site and office, वो तो आप follow कर ही लो वहाँ पर. उसके over and above.
The office, there are not many information, and wherever the salons have started functioning, the salons which are determined to do good work, there is a lot of resistance from guest side to give certain information, and it is not happening practically. Otherwise, as far as the salons player are concerned, they are at it, but ultimately, apart from surfaces, we can, disinfect that. The two human beings, the guest and the deliverer, the hairstylist or beauty therapist. So, the guests are not very open about giving their details and Arogya Setu, installing that and all those kind of things. So, any suggestion which can take it forward?
I don't know, because if we do not have information coming from one side, I would to say not allowed.
They are signing a consent form, digital consent form, physical form, but
so you can't let anybody in without a ticket. Now it's like a ticket to enter. Now it's difficult to refuse a customer coming to you, but he's no more your customer. Only those who are willing to follow the procedures for their and everybody else's benefit, they are only your customers.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So the checklists are available to you on this link. You can go click that link, buy these checklists, and utilize them to the best of your ability. These checklists will be really helpful to you for next 6 months at least minimum, so that till the time we are opening up slowly, steadily. As Mr. Patil said, take care of your health. That is most important. There's nothing better checklist than that. Ensure that it is safe for everybody, because you may be asymptomatic, but you become a carrier for others who can, for whom it can be fatal. So you don't want to become a reason for somebody's health. So that's what it is. Tomorrow we're going to be discussing how to reopen the business. ये तो अभी ऑफिस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ओपन की बात है ना. अब आप चाहे वर्क फ्रॉम होम करो या वर्क फ्रॉम ऑफिस करो, business opening, business reopening is another big handling point to be done, which we'll discuss theoretically tomorrow, and day after tomorrow we'll handle. That is not a very big checklist. That is very normal checklist that I'll be explaining day after tomorrow. Thank you very much. I think there's one more question. Let me take that up. Mr. Bhupesh.
जी नमस्कार.
Namaskar, sir.
सर ये for the construction site,
Yeah.
You very well suggested that we have to keep 72 hours of all the material before utilizing it.
Yeah.
Now, how to handle with RMC?
Good question, but लेकिन आपको कोई ना कोई provision तो बनाना ही पड़ेगा.
RMC sir 3 दिन तक store नहीं कर सकते. That is to be used on the same day.
हाँ, तो I understand. So therefore, the method in which the RMC is coming to your place,
yes,
has to be very well monitored from the vendor side.
Okay, maybe we have to sanitize that
Yes.
trucks which are coming.
Yes.
Movable trucks.
Yes. From there you will have to handle it. Good point. I will include that in the checklist. Very good point. So RMC is something which has to be handled from the vendor side to the site of yours. It can't be stored. It can't be re-sanitized over here. So both the things are difficult. But यहीं पर creativity आने वाली है. Because the moment you will find कि इनके साथ तो हमारा ना तो sanitization possible है ना storage possible है. So what do we do?
Correct, sir.
So find some ways of doing it, but do not use anything without being sure that it is, the chances of it having a virus is less.
Correct.
Thank you.
We'll have to find some ideas for that.
We have to find. There is no other way.
Okay, sir. Thank you.